He does have Flamekin Zealot, rather than like the Gristlebrand or Iona some people might run. He has 2 Dread returns, and he's got 3 breakthroughs, and beyond that it's just 4 of all the spells you would expect to see in Dredge, and all the Dredgers, with 3 Golgari Thug.
A lot of people, and I have to say that I am amongst them, were a little scared when we saw Faithless Looting printing with regards to what it might do to Dredge. His opponent here, Derek, I am going to say Raufeisen. He is playing Rug Delver, basically the inheritor to the old school Canadian Threshold lists that we saw, what, maybe about 8 years ago at this point?
Yep. Looks like Derek's on the play with that Delver, and Daniel's starting off with City of Brass and Faithless Looting. Doesn't have the nuts with a potential turn 1 LED, but he's putting Derek to the test right now. Derek has a Daze or a Force of Will. He's going to be pretty tempted to play it, and yeah, he's forcing.
Yeah. Now, the thing about a card like Faithless Looting or Careful Study, once that first Dredge card is in the graveyard, Dredge takes on a new mechanic entirely. Basically a new tenor, I should say, entirely, and that mechanic, the Dredge mechanic, just takes over, and you stop playing what looks like Magic.
Yep. Derek went ahead and revealed a Lightning Bolt to his Delver. A nice card to find. It can sometimes let him turn off a bridge, but more importantly, it's also going to let him shorten his clock on Daniel by probably about a turn. And he's just getting right to the races with turn 1 Delver, flip, turn 2 Tarmogoyf. The Tarmogoyf, thanks to an instant, a land, and a sorcery, is already a 3/4. These players are each with 1 loss at the moment also. The only 2 undefeated players left in the tournament are Rob Vaca and Lauren Nolan on Enter the Infinite and Esper Stoneblade, respectively.
You might remember we saw Rob Vaca earlier today play in the Team Hot Sauce Championship where he defeated Joe Bernal. Tarmogoyf and a flipped Delver of Secrets, now Insectile Aberration, face off against 2 mana.
Looks like I can't tell if Daniel has another way to get a Dredger in the bin or not. He needs one. He has Cabal Therapy. I imagine it's going to target himself and name Grave Troll. Yep.
Golgari Grave Troll, now in the graveyard.
Reveals
and he leaves his hand revealed for now.
Thug, Bridge, and Imp for the hand. He's going to need a pretty strong hit on that Golgari Grave Troll next turn. He's going to get thwacked for 7, which will put him down to 8, which means if he takes another damage from any of his lands, he's actually facing lethal without a blocker. And he has to also be aware of the potential for Lightning Bolts, which he knows Derek has 1.
And it's about to be a game of not quite Magic. Here we go. Will Daniel be able to do something impressive, or will the game end?
Nothing impressive there. And that's...
We know his hand. That should be it. Oh,
he's
wait,
got
actually, pardon me. Coliseum.
Coliseum. Go a little deeper, but all he has is a Thug. He has nothing else going. So if this Thug misses, that'll be it.
First Dredge of 3. Narcomoeba. That's a good one.
Needs another Dredger on the 4th card? 2 Narcomoebas.
That does keep him alive.
It keeps him alive, as far as he knows. Derek actually has 2 Lightning Bolts in his hand, so... we also are, I believe our life total's off by a point. I think he's down, or is he down? No, he is on 7 now. You're right, yeah.
Okay, if he has 2 Lightning Bolts and it looks like a fetch land,
yeah,
I think that's it then. Well, actually, no, he's got a Bridge from below in gravy as well, so he's not dead yet. And the second Bridge from below,
he's discarding the second one to Coliseum, and gonna go ahead and get his graveyard straightened up, but not reorganize it, notably. He has a Dread Return, 2 Bridge from Belows, 2 Cabal Therapies, I believe. It's actually a relatively reasonable play for him to sack one of those Narcomoebas right off the bat and name Lightning Bolt, considering he gets 2 zombie tokens. But Derek's going to go ahead and just kill his own Delver.
Goodbye, Bridges.
It's possible Derek made that play during the draw step or something like that, I guess, depending on when Daniel was doing his actions.
I think you're completely correct.
No, he did. He cracked a Coliseum, so I imagine he can't have done it quite that way. Yeah. Stifle, a fine card. It'll be able to stop another Narcomoeba from entering play.
In marches the Delver in the Tarmogoyf in a second. I believe probably what happened there, since the cards that Daniel would want to cast are sorcery speed cards, that we probably still had triggers on the stack or some other effect on the stack.
Oh, perhaps I think that he actually did. We were a little unclear based on what was going on the board. I think he did flashback that Cabal Therapy to try and name Lightning Bolt, and Derek responded by bolting his own Delver.
Gotcha.
Because there are now 2 Lightning Bolts in the graveyard.
Well, that wouldn't... well, I guess, yeah, that would work. That
yeah.
would work.
It will effectively negate the bridges getting any zombie tokens. So, to clear that up...
In comes Tarmogoyf, dropping Daniel to 3.
Interestingly, it was because Daniel held that Scolding Tarn that he was not able to cast both bolts in response to the Cabal Therapy. Punished a little bit for that one. Another Coliseum. Stifle the Coliseum.
Ouch.
Yeah,
well,
Daniel, not excited to see that.
Now, you can see here Daniel doing what many Dredge players do, using the table for his to show his graveyard.
And to clarify, this is a draw step Dredge. Daniel was cracking his Coliseum during his own upkeep in order to potentially maximize his draw step. And I don't think I saw him hit a bridge there.
No bridges there.
Yeah, he's
Icarid is what he got.
He's in the abyss at this point, with no upside. Next turn's Dredge will need to find him a copy of Bridge from Below, or I guess actually I think just Bridge from Below is all he can really do here.
Attacks for 1 with his Narcomoeba. In comes the Tarmogoyf. The other Narcomoeba blocks Daniel Kwiatkowski, looking for a chance to win here.
He's going to bring back Icarid. That'll give him 2 creatures. Keep in mind, he does not have access to something like Gristlebrand, so he can't dredge his way into that, reanimate it, and hope to ride it to victory. He's on the grind it plan.
Icarid comes back, getting rid of a Putrid Imp. Daniel at a precarious 2 life. Derek does run Forked Bolt in his deck.
Yeah, he has...
And Fire Ice.
Yeah. He has more burn spells than most Rug Delver players. Most run 4, maybe 5. He's got 7.
And Putrid Imp is the card dredged. Icarid marches on in for 3. Derek empty-handed, but Daniel is actually quite hobbled here. Most of his Narcomoebas are dead. 2 of his bridges are gone. He has no bridges in the graveyard.
Yep, and he's
a lot of dredgers are in his hand.
His capability to pull off the combo finish is definitely not looking great. He Cabal Therapied himself there, sacrificing Icarid before the end step.
That helps him get that Golgari Grave Troll back in the yard, giving him the massive dredge that card can provide.
He's going to need to hit a good one this turn. He's losing his Narcomoeba. Icarid's not exactly a blocker, as they call him.
Derek Raufeisen off the top.
Forked Bolt will do it. We're on to game 2.
Can see our coverage runner there, Patricia, in the background next to Derek. To the sideboards. Derek has, let's see, 3 surgical extractions amongst his many cards that he can bring in to help fight this fight. And no other particularly exciting cards.
Over in Daniel's sideboard, he has some of those fatties that we mentioned are absent from the main deck. He has Angel of Despair, Iona, and Elishnorn. I could see him going for one of the fatties in this matchup. A resolved Elishnorn is pretty much impossible for a Rug Delver player to realistically beat in a game. He also has access to Firestorm, but not really impressed with that card against Rug Delver. It basically can only kill Delver of Secrets, and it does it at a relatively steep price. So I imagine he might slot in that big guy, and that's about it. Maybe tweaking with his 3rd Icarid is in the sideboard, as is his 4th Breakthrough.
Now, one of the things that the Firestorm is usually for is to stop hateful creatures. And there are a ton of creatures that if they sit and play can make Dredge not have a very happy day. And obviously, Derek does not have his deck list in Daniel's hand, so he doesn't know for sure. But a quick glance on our side of things, there are no creatures in Derek's deck that are particularly hostile to Dredge. And Rug Delver, generally, the worst that they can mention is the Ooze, which is often going to get outside of Firestorm range immediately.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for some Rug Delver players to play one Scavenging Ooze and some number of Green Sun Zeniths over some burn spells and a couple Tarmogoyfs in order to diversify their threats, while at the same time actually slightly increasing the number of threats they have in the deck going long.
I've definitely also seen people play the Scavenging Ooze with 0 Green Sun Zeniths or only a single Green Sun Zenith. But Derek preferring instead to go 4/4/4 with Delver, Tarmogoyf, Nimble Mongoose, and then have those extra slots be used up by burn.
Dredge is a deck that really likes to capitalize on game one, so Daniel being down a game is, generally bad news. That said, a lot is won and lost in sideboarding. Many players, when faced with an enemy like Dredge, might sideboard incorrectly, might over-sideboard, might side out too many creatures, things like that. I think that's not that big a risk for the Rug Tempo deck. It's got a reasonable matchup, especially when it's on the play, so Derek at least has the luxury of a likely advantage game 3.
One of the things that the Dredge player has going for it is it can play a game that will end before Derek can sometimes have a chance to do anything. Now, Surgical Extraction being a free spell does mean that he has the ability to interact effectively on his own turn 0, but Daniel Kwiatkowski's version of Dredge, this Lion's Eye build, quite literally can kill on the first turn. Now, that's not a very likely draw, but the combination of Lion's Eye Diamonds and the Faithless Looting can make that happen.
What's significantly more likely is that it can create a crushing advantage.
Yes.
Very short span of space.
One of the things that if you're a long-time listener to Star City Games Open Series events, you'll know that I will usually refer people to Richard Fellman's Fearless Dredge article, an article in the Star City Games archives, one of the best deck-focus articles that you will ever read, along with Chris Anderson's Elves Primer and some other articles like that. Now, this is not Fearless Dredge. Richard Feldman's Fearless Dredge is basically about running no answers to hate cards. This is instead kind of the more hyper-aggressive Lion's Eye Diamond Faithless Looting Dredge that a lot of people prefer.
Derek waits for Daniel to announce a keeper or mulligan before checking his own hand. I see a bolt and some blue cards. How bad can it be?
And it looks like we're off to the races. Turn 1, City of Brass.
Careful study.
Careful study. Now remember,
start.
Derek stopped with Force of Will, one of these cards, the last time this happened. No Force of Will this time.
Daniel's hand looks a little light on Dredgers. I don't think he has any. It looks like a bridge, a Narcomoeba, a breakthrough, a bridge.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's going to need to find one. And now that he's pitched the Careful Study, his only way to get it in the bin is a Cabal Therapy, which is in his hand.
No Surgical Extraction from Derek, unless he just drew one.
Definitely brought him in. We can see it in the deck as he shuffles there. I'm not really surprised, I gotta be honest. Brought in Surgical. I saw it coming. He's going to go ahead and get Nimble Mongoose down. He has access to a Wasteland, but in this matchup, I think it's fine to get the threat down first. Dredge really doesn't need its lands that much.
Breakthrough for 1, causing 2 points of pain. Derek says, sure. Draw 4 cards, discard down to 1. And there is finally some Dredge action in there.
Yep. Looks like we got a Stinkweed Imp and I think a Thug. Not sure.
And we see the classic extending the graveyard across the play space, because that really is his play space.
He has binned 1 Stinkweed Imp as a Dredger, and he has access to 2 Bridges and a Cabal Therapy in the graveyard as relevant other cards. Plus Colosseum is now turned on. Coliseum. Wow, Derek decides to destroy City of Brass rather than Cephalid Coliseum with Wasteland. I assume that means he has a Stifle and is planning to leave it up for most of the remaining game.
In for one. The goose definitely not loose right now. Dredge. Here comes the imp.
Derek destroyed the City of Brass, I think because he assumed Daniel might have kept a Faithless Looting or a Putrid Imp or a Careful Study.
Wow. Stifles the trigger of the Icarid.
Wow.
That is a aggressive one. If Daniel happens to have another land in his hand, he could really punish Derek for that.
That Narcomoeba is stuck in the bin, and to be fair, the only Dredger that Daniel hit was one Stinkweed Imp, so maybe Derek just decided to take that risk.
Breakthrough. Do you have a daze, Mr. Derek? No, he does not. And you'll note a Firestorm has appeared in Daniel's graveyard.
Oh, we need a Dredger right here. Oh, missing a Dredger here is catastrophic. We're just drawing 3 and pitching our hand again.
And I believe he got no...
He got a Grave Troll in the 3 cards he drew, so he's now on Imp and Grave Troll as Dredgers in his graveyard.
Now, you notice him making sure his graveyard is in a particular order. In Legacy, even if Derek Raufeisen doesn't have a card like Phyrexian Furnace, you are required to keep your graveyard in the proper order.
Yep. Delver of Secrets, and now at this point, Derek's just going to try and capitalize on what he's done so far to disrupt his opponent. And he's got a quick clock in place. Obviously, if the Delver flips, that's a 2-turn clock, unless he has access to Bolt, which he doesn't yet.
Well, right now, I feel like Daniel's in a pretty good spot. Yeah, that clock, I don't know that it's going to be quick enough.
I mean, he needs to hit a Narcomoeba pretty soon, and he didn't.
Right now, Derek has a clock of 2 damage a turn.
No, that's a Nimble Mongoose. It's definitely got Threshold, right?
No,
oh, no, it doesn't have Threshold.
Nowhere near.
You're right, my mistake.
And now the Insectile Aberration knows the secrets. 4 cards in the graveyard, very close to making this a very fast clock. The Bolt in hand would make it 5 cards in the graveyard. So close to being a 6-point clock. Right now, a 4-point clock. Still pretty good. With that Bolt, a 4-point clock is 3 turns. Draw.
Delver's not going to do it.
What was the card that was revealed to the Delver?
I think it was what we're about to cast, which is this Altered Brainstorm, I believe.
Okay, then how did he draw, after he got that Brainstorm, another card?
Oh,
okay,
I'm sorry,
Force.
he flipped a Force and then shuffled.
There we go. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. So a Force and he shuffled it away. That makes me much happier.
Derek's quick hands there. I agree with that shuffle. Now he's stuck debating what to do here. That puts him to 5 cards. He really wanted to find a fetch land, because then fetch land Bolt would be enough. But he can go Bolt and then daze his own Bolt, paying for it.
You know, I don't know that it's worth it. Just coming in here for 4, that's fine.
I don't know. We don't have any other action. I think I would rather just...
If he lays that...
Casting the Nimble Mongoose or the Delver is basically the same.
If he casts the Delver, it's the same clock. But he did not cast the Delver. I thought he was going to cast that Delver, and then regardless of whether that Delver flips or not, the Bolt, and then the presumption of the casting of that daze.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely should have played one of our cards. Our hand is Daze, Nimble Mongoose, Delver of Secrets, Lightning Bolt. I don't really see a reason to not have cast at least a Delver or a Nimble Mongoose.
Icarid comes out eating a Putrid Imp. And I believe that Daniel is trying to ask if he can go to his main phase. Or to his,
Yeah. Which Derek should definitely let him do. If he decides to attack and then sack the Icarid to something, he can bolt his Aberration once again. Also achieving Threshold, but that's another reason why we really wanted to have that.
Just an extra random little dork out there to kill.
Well, if we had the Nimble Mongoose, then we would actually have untapped with 6 power. Looks like, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and bolt our guy, get rid of all those bridges.
1 bridge. 2 bridge.
3
bridge. That is a lot of bridges.
Yep, it's a lot of bridges to lose.
Oh, if only he had a little Delver to kill.
dredging up a storm here. Well, we definitely should have bolted our Delver in the draw step if we weren't to that spot yet, in case he dredged his way into another bridge.
Yeah, this is true. Cabal Therapy from the Icarid. Sacrificing the Icarid, naming whatever. I can't tell what he named, but he missed. Now he knows the Daze, the Nimble Mongoose, and the Delver. Derek playing as though he might have a miracle on top.
Named Force of Will. I don't think I like naming Force of Will there. I guess it's fine, but like your opponent just looked at the top of the deck and shuffled away a Force of Will, so it doesn't seem very likely.
He might. Oh, and one of those guys is sick, Derek.
Yeah.
There you go. Take 3. The Goose is loose. Now down to 7. 9 power on the table. This is one where it's very close here. The 1 mana available to pay for whatever he needs to for that daze.
Derek does now have a lethal clock in play. Without a Narcomoeba to block or some zombie tokens, Daniel's going to be in big trouble. At this stage, he can only have so many cards in his deck that aren't named Narcomoeba, though, realistically.
Yeah. There are 2 Dread Returns in Daniel's deck, so this also means that if he's boarded in any big monsters, he's got a better chance of being able to get something like that out. 1 Narcomoeba out.
Did we hit a bridge as well? He scooped those up a little too fast.
It looks like there is no Icarid.
Oh, were we unable to recur Icarid? That would be really awkward.
I'm not certain if he was unable or if he neglected to.
It's possible that he boarded out his Putrid Imps after seeing Fork Bolt in addition to Lightning Bolt. That would be a pretty aggressive choice, but I haven't seen him a Putrid Imp yet.
Here come the monsters. Blocks a Goose. Takes 4, goes to 3. Tarmogoyf.
Monsters!
Ah.
Yeah, Daniel had... It looks like he got another Icarid in the draw step, I think, but did not have a black creature. Wow, didn't have a black creature.
I have to tell you, this,
I haven't seen
I wonder if Daniel over-sideboarded. There are a lot of Firestorms showing up, and every single one of those Firestorms is not a part of his Dredge engine.
Yep, I believe he has to have boarded out the Putrid Imps and maybe shaved a Golgari Thug or 2 as well. Oh no, there's a Putrid Imp, so he definitely didn't board out all of them. He hit 1.
Wow.
This is very peculiar. I'm curious how he actually organized sideboard. Maybe he did some trimming.
He draws. Look at that. Offers it up. Daniel Kwiatkowski taken down 2-0 by Derek Raufeisen. I'm sorry, Derek. I don't know how to say your name.
Yeah. That puts Derek in good position to potentially draw into top 8 next round. Obviously nothing's certain in the game of Magic the Gathering, but it's got a good shot.
It sounds like we're going to have another match pretty soon.